Hi, my name is Lexi Zhang and welcome to my channel. So today we are going to go ahead and swatch all of the more recent highlighters that have come out, and we'll look at the two highlighting trios that look pretty similar, the Guerlain Pearl Dust palette and the Hourglass Ambient Metallic Strobe highlighting palette. So we'll compare and contrast those, and at the end I will give you guys my recommendations, what I personally would reinvest in. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to start swatching. Okay, so this trio here, we have the Hourglass trio. So this is Absolute, Pure, and Lucent. And then this here is the Guerlain trio. So this is from the Pearl Dust palette. And you can see, even though they're not directly adjacent, how similar they are, yet different. These three colors from Hourglass, they're a little bit warmer, a little bit of a dustier look, like a dustier rose and so forth, whereas the three from Guerlain are a bit brighter. So they have more of a cleaner undertone. It's really not the best word to describe it, but for example, if you're buying paint for a room, and you're mixing paint, these basically would be like the ones with a white base. They have a brighter, whereas these are more of like an ivory base. So they come out a little bit warmer looking. So although they are similar, they are different. Also, in my opinion, the Guerlain seem a bit blingier. So they can both get very blingy and very bright, very vibrant. But I think the Guerlain do it a little bit more easily, and the colors seem a little bit more pigmented when you try to amp it up, whereas these get super blingy, but I feel like the color that you see doesn't stay as present when you apply it in a very bright, vibrant fashion. Okay, so here are the Hourglass and Guerlain trios with the colors side by side. So we'll have Hourglass, Guerlain, Hourglass, Guerlain, Hourglass, Guerlain. So you can see with them up close, that the Hourglass are definitely going to be a little bit warmer than the Guerlain shadows. You can also see, although these are both pale golds here, the Guerlain has like a white reflect, and it's white, it's not silver. So I think that is something that makes it a little unique. You can see a little bit of white in the Hourglass as well. It's definitely a pale, soft gold. But this one actually has you actually do see a white flash. So that's something a little different. Now with the Lucent from Hourglass versus the Pearly Amber in Guerlain, you can see that the Guerlain is much more peachy or apricot shade, whereas this looks a lot more brown in comparison. When you have it isolated, it really, it looks peachy, but when it's next to the Guerlain, you can see how much more of a brown base this one has. It kind of almost looks like a bright bronzer in a way. But again, isolated, it looks a lot more peach than it does adjacent to this one. Moving on to some comparisons between these two palettes in general. Here's the Hourglass Ambient Metallic Strobe Lighting Palette. This is the Guerlain Pearl Dust Palette. And I am wearing this with all three shades just kind of mixed. I just took a big fluffy brush and went all over the top. I wore that as finishing powder today. It's not the highlight here on my cheeks, but it is the finishing powder. Now, one thing to note, that the Guerlain palette does have the violet smell that is in all Meteorites products. It's faint. When you dust it all over a big brush and you're putting it on your face, you can smell it on the brush as you're putting it on, but you don't notice it once it's on. And honestly, if you're taking a small brush and just applying a little bit of highlight, it's not really something that you notice either. So both of these can be used as a finishing powder. You can mix all of the shades. You can, do any kind of combination you want. Now, in my opinion, the Hourglass is a little bit better at getting a really soft, diffused look. These shades, I'm not saying like the formula itself is like super powdery or anything like that, but they do have more of a slightly powdery appearance compared to the Guerlain when you apply it to the skin. So I feel like the Guerlain shades, they have this more I mean, you can kind of tell here, they're very metallic looking. They almost have more of a cream metallic appearance. Whereas the Hourglass, it's really easy to get a soft diffused look with those. And I think, they sheer out really, really well so that, it just kind of looks like a soft powder. And the Guerlain does it as well. However, you have to be a little bit lighter handed. So, it's a little bit easier to go overboard with the Guerlain. Although, to be honest, with both of them, neither of them are hard to work with. These are not so concentrated that you have to be super cautious using them. It's really more about application, but I'm not sure how well it picks up on the camera, but even just like kind of spreading these out, you can see that I hope you can see the Hourglass, it kind of spreads out more and you see just like little bits of metallic. It's really, really soft and spread out, whereas you definitely still have more color and pigment from the Guerlain. So that makes a difference for a couple of reasons. If you are looking to use these more as a soft finishing powder or a really subtle highlight, the Hourglass is pretty easy to do that with. You can't go wrong. You can also bling them up and get them very shiny and metallic looking. Again, though, the pigmentation, the actual color of that highlight doesn't seem to be as prevalent when you use them damp to amp that up. You definitely see a lot more shine and sparkle, but you don't see as much of the background shade. Whereas the Guerlain, you can really build these up and get like this deep, shiny metallic color, which makes it a little bit easier to use as eyeshadow or even a highlighting blush. For example, this shade here, the Pearly Amber from Guerlain, I can apply this as a highlighting blush on my cheeks and I get that peachy look on my cheeks as well. Whereas with the Lucent, I don't really see the color so much. There's a hint of it and it works well to mix in with other blushes, but using it on its own as a blush isn't as successful for me. Both of these gold shades, I really like both of them. Again, the Hourglass one, it's hard to tell in the swatch, but it is slightly warmer. It's a little bit more of a yellow gold, whereas this one definitely has that white reflect, which makes it a little bit cooler toned. And again, these two pinks, the Guerlain is slightly cooler toned as well. When you are looking at it isolated though, it is more of a neutral pink, maybe even leaning slightly warm, but it's definitely not as warm as the Hourglass. So that's something to keep in mind. They all have, cool leanings towards cool and warm and neutral, but the Hourglass overall is slightly more warmer toned in general. So again, going back to using them as eyeshadow, I was a little bit more successful using them from the Guerlain palette as eyeshadow. And I have tried these wet and dry for both of them. And the Guerlain, because they're a little bit more pigmented, you can see a little bit more of the color. So I think it works a little better. Whereas with the Hourglass, they kind of, blend and diffuse together. And when you're using them on your eyes, honestly, I can't really distinguish the colors apart so well. So if you're interested in seeing those in the Guerlain video that I had and in the Hourglass video, I used some of these as eyeshadows so you can kind of see what they look like there. But I would recommend the Guerlain if you're looking for more pigmented color. So another recent acquisition for me are the new Chantecaille cheek and highlighting duos. And I've been going back and forth trying to figure out, would it be better to just buy one of these or buy one of these highlighting trios? And honestly, I think they are too different to really compare. But I will compare the shades in these highlighting trios. Okay, so this swatch here is the Chantecaille Radiant Chic Cheek Duo in Rose. So you can see it's a gold highlight that has a little bit of a peachy look. Let me swatch that. It's actually closest to the Hourglass Lucent. So here are these together. So this here is the Hourglass Lucent shade, and this is the Chantecaille from the Rose duo. And you can see that they are pretty similar, but the Chantecaille is more golden. So It's kind of like an in-between shade between the gold shade and the lucent shade in the Hourglass palette. So let me mix those two together. All right, so again, here's the Chantecaille, here is lucent, and here is a mix of the lucent and the pure from the palette. You can see that that is going to be pretty similar to the Chantecaille. The Chantecaille is just a touch more bronzy in there. So maybe if we add just a little bit more lucent in there, it would be a little bit closer. Okay, this here is the Chantecaille Duo in Coral. And let's go ahead and we'll swatch this one right here. So you can see that, you know, it's a bit brighter than both the, well, than the Hourglass, and it's definitely a little bit more bronzy than the Guerlain here. So when you're looking at them up close, this definitely has a peachy undertone, but it's like a peach mixed with a gold. Honestly, I don't think you can get any sort of combination here. I think the closest might be the Hourglass Pure mixed with the Guerlain. But that's not gonna be helpful since, you know, ideally you're not buying both, but let's swatch them anyway. All right, so here we have a mix of the Hourglass Pure, so the gold from Hourglass, and then the Pearly Amber from Guerlain mixed together. And this is the Chantecaille Duo. So this is still gonna be a bit brighter and a bit deeper, but it is a similar tone. Now another one to try, this is the Mer The Glow Highlight. And this is, it was a limited edition last year. It's no longer out. This is the powder side. And you can see that that's really peachy. So we're gonna compare this to the Guerlain. Here's the Guerlain. So they are similar. They are actually probably the closest we've come to. The La Mer is a little bit pinker. And just for comparison's sake, here is the Lucent. So you can see that's a lot more brown. And we'll put the Absolute from Hourglass right there as well. All right, let's move on. This is the Chantecaille Holiday Highlight. This was the Éclat Brillant. And let's go ahead and we'll swatch these. This is super, super gold. Okay, so here is the Holiday. And sorry, it's still a little shiny. It didn't all come off, but the color is gone. Okay, so this is the Chantecaille Duo from the Rose Duo. This is the Chantecaille from Coral. Chantecaille Éclat Brillant from the Holiday. This is the Hourglass Pure, and this is the Guerlain the Guerlain Pearly Gold. All right, so you can see that none of those really compare well. All right, so let's test out. This is the Chanel Duo de Camellia, and there's a gold and a silver side, and we're gonna skip the silver because obviously none of these are silver, but here is the gold side from here. And you can see that this one is also a soft gold. This here is the Hourglass. And here is the Guerlain. So they are all similar. However, the Chanel is a bit more shiny. It's actually a little bit more gold. And when you look at the metallic, these both have more of that pearly effect to it, whereas the Chanel has more of a like gold metallic particle effect to it. So it's a little bit more iridescent. All right, let's move down my arm. We've got the Chanel Metal Peach. This came out in the holiday season as well. And we're going to compare this to the Hourglass Lucent here, which you can see is much more gold looking than the Metal Peach. And above it here, this is the Guerlain Pearly Amber. So again, they're pretty different. And last but not least, we have the Chanel Éclat du Désert, which came out with the summer collection. We're gonna swatch this right here next to the two pink ones. So you can see here that the Éclat du Désert is much warmer tone than either of these. Yeah, better. Here, let's put it on this side as well. See it better. but in general, it's kind of like a mix of the two, the Guerlain and the Hourglass. And I almost forgot, I have one more swatch for you guys. So this is Surat, I'm not exactly sure how to say it, Aureole, Aureole. So you can see this is kind of like a pale gold as well. And this is the Guerlain. And this is the Hourglass. So you can see if you're looking for a subtle highlight, the Aureole is definitely going to be a lot lighter in pigmentation and color. And it's really going to give you a really soft wash. So there's the Aureole a little bit deeper. So when you look at them up close, it's a little hard to tell in the swatch, but the Surat has a little bit more of a peachy base. Not that it looks, peachy like a peachy highlight, but more that the actual base powder looks more ivory, peachish, skin tone-ish, instead of more of a gold or white base. So let's go ahead and compare and contrast some of the product details on these items. So the Hourglass and the Guerlain both retail for approximately the same price. The Hourglass is $64 USD and the Guerlain is $65. The Hourglass is definitely limited edition. The Guerlain, I honestly don't know if it's limited edition or not because I haven't been able to find anything that says one way or another. They definitely have other products labeled limited edition on their website. This one is not labeled limited edition, so I'm hoping that means it will be a permanent product. So that is something to take into consideration. Now for ingredients, Hourglass has no parabens, there are no fragrance, no talc, no nanoparticles. They're gluten-free, vegan, cruelty-free. There are no phthalates, no sulfates, and no mineral oils. So if any of those things interest you about the ingredients, Hourglass is the way to go. Now, the Hourglass palette is made in Italy, and there are 3 quads, So the Hourglass palette is made in Italy, and each of those 3 colors, they are 3 grams. So, they are slightly bigger than the Guerlain Trio, which, is 0.29 ounces for a net weight or 8.5 grams total. So this is going to be, the Guerlain is slightly smaller. Now, the Guerlain does have its own little slogan. It says, recharge your own light. That's the slogan for this particular product. And they claim, actually, both Hourglass and Guerlain are using pearl extract. So Hourglass says they're using concentrated ultrafine micro pearl products. Guerlain says that they are using Japanese pearl extract, which has skincare benefits with each application. It says it works in combination with star-shaped white pigments to offer smooth, plumped skin with a boosted natural glow. Skin is healthy and replenished, and its glow is preserved. So if you look on their website, they're actually claiming that use of their highlighting trio can offer some skin benefits and, kind of help your own skin look better. Honestly, I don't believe any of that, especially since you're putting it on after so many other layers of things. If there are any skincare benefits to the Japanese pearl extract that's in here, I don't really think it's doing anything to your skin, being one of the last products that you apply. So I wouldn't use that as, any sort of deciding factor, in my opinion. And one other note, the Guerlain Trio is also made in Italy. So if you are looking to buy a trio and you're not sure which one to purchase, I personally prefer the Guerlain. And so if I were to do it again, I would purchase the Guerlain over the Hourglass. I have both, so I will use both. And I do think they are both very nice products. So you probably don't need both. They are similar enough that you don't need both. However, I like the brightness of the pigment colors in the Guerlain a little bit better. I think it's a little bit more versatile because I can actually distinguish the colors when I use them as eyeshadow or blush. So I think it makes it a really great all-in-one product. And I like how you can get that soft look or you can really amp it up. And I think it's really easy to do with both palettes in that sense, but I like having the pigmentation of the color present as well. And then, you know, both palettes are nicely designed, so no issues with that. They both have, you know, a great product design with a mirror and so forth. They're both easy for travel. I just personally prefer the actual pigmentation of the Guerlain Trio a little bit better, and it's a little bit creamier. Now, when you're using these, you know, I have used this several times now, and I've used the brush all around. I've used them separate. I've used them with my fingers, and I have gotten absolutely no product hiccup from this at all. It still looks pristine. Whereas I do get a little bit of powder or residue from the Hourglass. Honestly, it's very, very minimal. And, you know, you can just kind of see some like gathering in the corners. There's like a little dust on the mirror, but it's nothing significant. So I think both of them are, you know, a pretty creamy product. Both of them come up very easily with a brush. You know, neither of them have been difficult to, you know, actually get pigment on the blush. Like the Chanel Metal Peach, you know, you have to use a really firm brush with that one. But these, they've worked well with a variety of brushes that I've used, as well as fingers. Okay, so if you are actually trying to decide between one of these trios and something like the Chantecaille highlighting duos, you know, that's a little bit more of a challenge. If you are specifically in the market for highlights, I would go with the Guerlain Trio because obviously you're getting 3 different colors here. It's a fantastic formula. They can be used as blush, highlight, eyeshadow. You know, they work beautifully, and I think if the undertones and so forth are just absolutely gorgeous on there. And with the pale gold, I really love that white reflect on this one. So if you're specifically looking for highlight, I would go with that. If you are looking for blush and highlight, you know, the Chantecaille is a great option. Now, one thing to note though is the Chantecaille is significantly more expensive than the Guerlain and the Hourglass palettes. The Chantecaille retails for $84 and it's 6 grams. So the blush is 3 grams and the highlight is 3 grams. Now they do have, you know, good ingredients. There's no animal testing. They're gluten-free, fragrance-free. There are no parabens and no phthalates. And part of the proceeds to purchases of these 2 highlighting palettes, they go to support Wild Aid, which is a foundation that is looking at, you know, reducing global consumption of some of these wildlife products. So, and that is a benefit. Now, as to the actual quality of the highlights in both of these, the Chantecaille highlights, they are beautiful. So again, they are right here. This is the coral and this is the rose, and they're very pigmented. You know, they go on beautifully. I've used them both as eyeshadow and they both work very well for eyeshadow. Color wise, neither of them are quite the right shade for me to use as blush, but somebody else could. But I have mixed them with the blushes as well, and it does give a really nice effect. But honestly, if I'm looking for something to be a more versatile highlight, I would definitely go with the Guerlain over the Chantecaille. And to be completely honest, I wish Chantecaille had sold the highlights and the blushes separately. I probably would have still bought all of them anyway, but you know, I like having them separated because sometimes when they're in a duo, I feel like I know it's like all in my own head, but I kind of feel like, oh, well, this highlights with this blush. I really should use these 2 together, which makes it easy at times, you know, when you don't really know what you feel like doing that day. But I don't know. I just prefer things separate. So that is basically it. So that sums up all of my opinions. Sorry, it was a little bit rambly, but I hope this helped you guys make a decision. Overall summary, my vote goes to the Guerlain Meteorites Pearl Dust palette. Again, I'm not sure whether it's limited edition or not, but since I don't see it stated anywhere that this product is limited edition, I'm hopeful that it is not. Now, I don't think it has been released to all of the retailers. It was promoted as coming out to Saks and Sephora first, and then from what I understand, it will be available at Nordstrom and Neiman Marcus and so forth here in the States. And I have not seen it at those yet. So if you haven't been able to find it yet, I would definitely keep looking. I will keep looking as well, and I will post it on my Instagram and Twitter when I see something about it. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram or Twitter, please do so. The handles are down below in the description box. The Hourglass palette is limited edition, but it is still available on both Sephora, the US site, and the Hourglass website and Beautylish. So I will have links to that down below. The Chantecaille duos are currently only available on the Chantecaille website, but they should be out at other retailers soon. They are a brand new summer release, so they should be around for at least a few months. So if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to ask me any questions or anything down below in the comments. I would love to help you guys any way I can. I know obviously you can't really go in and swatch things. So, any comparisons or anything that you need, just let me know. So I hope you guys have a great day and stay safe and healthy. I'll see you soon.